Hi, my name is Barry Sahajian. I am the editor and owner of TownNewport.com, and right now we are discussing an issue on this editorial of the missing $170,000 that the school committee had put into a wrong account, according to Wendy Manure, the principal, which she voiced at the 2016 town meeting. A statement like this, with all of this, all the things that are going on in embezzlement and everything around town, we want to know, we want to feel good about our officials. Something is not right with this. I mean, I'm not accusing anybody, but it certainly deserves further explanation. Most obvious by all the comments we got on the responses from the last post I put up. So I figured the first place I would go is to the bookkeeper of the school, which is also the town clerk, Denise Daigle. She is not only the town clerk, she's the bookkeeper. So, I would like to know some of the details on this transaction. I did ask her, and she responded by saying that the principal made it quite clear at the town meeting on an explanation for this. I was at the town meeting. I didn't hear any explanation. And I don't know, did anyone hear it? If they did, please update me what the explanation was. I'd like to hear it. I want to feel that this town is doing everything in good faith and that there's no wrongdoing. That's what we want. We all want that. We don't want to hear anything is wrong. But right now we have questions. And so far, Denise has avoided the question, and she told me to call the principal. So I called the principal up, and she's busy at a meeting, of course, and she hasn't got back to me. I'd like to remind, Denise and Wendy that they are in public service and they are accountable to the public. We have questions here, and they have to answer them. They have to be answered. It is against the law now since 2014 of transparency to avoid information to the public. So right now we're at a standstill, and it fact remains. By not answering these questions, it increases suspicion. Can't we have some answers? We want to feel good about our little local government. We want to feel that they're doing the right things. Another conversation I had with the clerk was about an audit. She feels that because they have a yearly audit done by this reputable company, that there is absolutely no chance of any wrongdoing in the town. "No corruption here, pal," she said, quote unquote. I didn't accuse anyone of corruption, by the way. Anyhow, I have a confession to make right now. In 1970, I went to one of the finer accounting schools in Boston, Burdick College, to become a CPA. I finished only a couple of years, but I had plenty of education in accounting, enough to get a professional job, which I did for several years as an auditor for a motel chain in Cambridge, Mass. So I'm going to tell you this now from a professional opinion. There are a lot of embezzlement cases on the books right now. We see them all over the news. Every single one of them had a reputable auditor. The problem is with a reputable auditor, they're not checking deep enough if there were any wrongdoing. For instance, so Denise, she's doing her bookkeeping, and she sees somebody has bought 3 computers. So she puts them in as depreciation and lists them on the books. That's all she knows. Any wrongdoing and embezzlement happens in a way that the bookkeeper would not see it, nor would the yearly accountant. And it happens sort of like this. For instance, there's a case recently of some woman she was in the school system, and she was buying, she bought 3 or 4 computers, and on the books the bookkeeper says 3 computers bought for the school. That makes all sense. Turns out that 2 of them wound up in a pawn shop. She buys new computers and brings them to a pawn shop, cashes them in for money, puts it in her pocket. She gets caught, and she's been convicted. It happens like that. They don't embezzle and leave marks on the book so a bookkeeper can see it, or even a yearly auditor. So that's mute, saying that because we have an auditor that comes once a year, there's absolutely no wrongdoing. Okay, as an auditor, if I were to request the payables from this account, and I got all the paperwork and everything, I doubt that I would see any wrongdoing, even if there were. And I'll tell you why. Like I said, people who embezzle and steal, they don't make it obvious, not from a bookkeeping point of view. Sometimes they do. But I'll tell you who does see it and how these people usually get caught. They get caught by co-workers, because the co-workers see, they are there every day with them. They see purchases they've made. They interact with them personally, and they are the ones who could see these things. Now, many of these, according to State Auditor Salmon, that's the way most of these cases, go to trial and prosecution happens, because a co-worker will turn them in. If that be the case in our little town, I want to tell you that you can report this anonymously. So if, usually a co-worker will feel pretty bad knowing that someone is stealing and getting away with it, especially if they're an honest person. So according to President Obama, who initially made a lot of noise about this whole transparency issue in government, which initiated some of these amendments and making it a crime to withhold information and public records from the public, he said, a lack of transparency promotes corruption and undue influence. Now, I'm not going to go into corruption because, as far as I know, there is none. But undue influence, absolutely, 100% sure. And I'm going to tell you how it works and how we can fix that. Here we go. This is the town meeting, all the articles. So what we have here is a situation where every single article on that meeting was approved. Every single. Most of them were for money. People went out, small group of people went out, put petitions up, including the school board. They asked for almost $3 million total. They got every penny of that. That's a lot of money. And that's most of our entire tax budget. They're getting it, and they're getting it easily. They get it because they can go out, they make a petition. When they go to the town meeting, there's only 70 people there. Most of them are biased with the school. And why wouldn't they be? A school is a very important thing. But $3 million this year alone? It's a lot of money. So the solution is we have a floor voting situation. And only 70 or 80 people show up. That's it. Like I said, most of them are biased and they'll pass everything. They just passed everything. Nothing was even disputed. So the solution is, and I'm going to do this, is what we need to do is make it possible for every registered voter in town to get to vote. They don't want to go to a town meeting and sit there for 2 hours. They want to do this by Australian ballot or absentee ballot. That way, instead of 70 or 80 people, maybe we get 300 people to vote. And maybe most of those people would not agree with everything that this chosen 70 people that show up at the town meetings vote on. So, let's get this to work. I have a matrix I'm going to include on this article showing what all the other towns in Vermont do. And most of them use both the floor meeting and the Australian ballot. And you will notice, of course, that 3 times as many people wind up voting. So it's more fair. Lots of things are taken into consideration. So what I am going to do, and I would expect that everyone would respond positive to this, is I'm going to put a petition together. And this petition on the next town meeting will be for us to vote to have Australian ballot and absentee ballots included, so everybody can vote on these. I spoke to some people, including my wife, who said she wasn't going to vote positive on any of those articles on the town meeting. But we went there and everything was all yay, 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 no nay. All yay, no nay.